You might be asking yourself, what is the left's plan then? If they can't even admit or agree on what the cause of their massive losses was, how are they going to agree on a solution? Well, perhaps they'll look to their leader, Rachel Maddow, miss $30 million a year for 1 hour of television a week. She only does one show on Mondays. She's found the solution. Here it is.
Not to be boring here for a second, but just getting very real. We now are just another one in the list of countries that has decided to, hey, what the heck? Let's try the strongman thing. There are many more countries in the world governed by that kind of a system than there are governed by ours. We are the only 248-year-old multiracial pluralistic democracy in the world. And shall we keep it? A lot of our fellow Americans say we shouldn't. See, what they really don't want is for those tens of millions of Americans to wake up tomorrow feeling scrappy as hell. So now we can work full time on being fricking pirates, on being a thorn in the side to anyone who now intends to try to turn this country into some tin pot tyranny. Hope you are feeling scrappy. Hope you are tapping into your inner pirate energy. Because it is one thing to be a defender of the realm. It is another thing to be in opposition. And opposition can be a lot of things. It can be dangerous. It can also be fun. It would have been nice to win the election. Didn't. Okay. Time to save the country.
Oh, my God. She is stomach turning, isn't she? It could be, you're in danger. What are you going to do with your 10 houses and your tens of millions? My God, you better start preparing. You should start getting the medication kits and the food right now. Store away. Trump is coming for you, Rachel. Jeez, could be fun. Could be fun. Oh, yeah. Who would ever know what it's like for MSNBC to be in the opposition? Oh, wait. Russia. We know your trick, Madam Pirate, when you're in the opposition. Your nobility in your efforts to save the country. You fucking lie. That's what you do. You lie every day. And then you play the victim. What a ridiculous person. She is such a great example of what happens to these media people. I've actually asked myself, I've asked myself, like, why didn't this happen to me? Maybe it did. Why didn't, when I actually started to earn money as a media person, did I not lose complete connection with my audience and my roots? I just didn't. I don't come from a rich family at all, as you've heard me say. I actually do come from a middle-class family. My dad was a professor, first at Syracuse University, and then at SUNY Albany, and my mom was a nurse. So I don't know what that makes us, but we didn't have a lot of money. They had 3 kids, and they put us through college, and it was great. And my dad died when I was young, and then my mom used his insurance money to help me go to college. So we were not rich. We were not poor, but we were not rich. And as I told you before, I spent every summer going through my mom's sprinkler in the backyard or at my Nana's very rundown but sweet boatyard on the Hudson River in Rockland County, where I most of the time was in the back making mud pies for fun. It was not rich in the sense we use that word today, but it was rich in all the other ways. It was some of the happiest times of my life. Those are the people I relate to. Those are the people I still surround myself with. Those are the people I make an effort to make sure my children are with often. We spend our summers at the Jersey Shore so that my kids will not grow up in only these elite rich circles like I confess I live in now. It's fine. There are a lot of lovely people who are my dearest friends, but I'm just saying they need exposure to real America and not just privilege. Rachel Maddow doesn't know any of that. She doesn't know any of that. She's made so much money. She's lost her tether to real people. She thinks the whole world is the New York Times. And speaking of the New York Times, before I get to the New York Times, I would say I almost did. Sometimes I think that I had risen to the top at Fox and that I was starting to believe like my own press. You know, maybe that's what happened with the whole realignment. Maybe that's what led me to like ultimately go to NBC and have such a disastrous ride there because I needed to be knocked down. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes the Lord knows better for you what you need than you know. And you get knocked down and then You're at a crossroads. You have a decision to make. Who am I? What do I actually believe in? It's very helpful to have a realignment like that, to have almost like a false God, this like peaceful existence I was going to have on the left, not doing politics. That was my goal in going to NBC. And then the left shows me who they really are over there, when my own politics inevitably came out over and over while I was on NBC defending Brett Kavanaugh and so on. Just a reminder of who you really are and what your value system is. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But speaking of the New York Times and who Rachel Maddow surrounds herself with and who she reads every day to lead her to be so out of touch. She thinks she's a pirate. It's going to be fun to be in the opposition. And she doesn't believe, because of this election, that we have a multiracial, pluralistic democracy. Forgive me if you missed it, but it's very multiracial, pluralistic group over on Team Trump. We've had blacks voting for Trump in levels we've never seen before, or at least since the late 80s for a Republican. We saw Hispanics voting for him. Almost 50% of Hispanics in the country voted for Donald Trump. Not to mention working class voters, and yes, some rich people too. Kind of pluralistic. Those around him, half of them voting for him and running with him are Democrats. Elon was a double Barack Obama voter. RFKJ is still a Democrat. Tulsi Gabbard was a Democrat who ran for president under the Democratic ticket 4 years ago. Now she's a Republican because of the lunacy, but who are you kidding that this is not a pluralistic group that just got elected? And by the way, Trump was a Democrat for most of his life too. Hello. We put together this montage of these New York Times opinion writers who thought it might be good to, after the election, this was put together on Wednesday, not Monday, warn us what's coming under the regime of Donald Trump. The worst possibilities. This was like styled under, one day we'll do the worst and the next day we'll do the best. And the ones that they dropped today were just absolutely pathetic. It was like, well, I can't really think of anything. Maybe this, but when he leaves, that'll be, anyway, here's some of their worst predictions. Rachel's friends.
And it is not only extremist, but also effective in that extremism.
Emboldened by a series of Supreme Court rulings, perhaps bolstered by support in both houses of Congress, Trump will fulfill his promise to be a dictator on day one.
He sends troops into neighborhoods like my own to try to round up undocumented immigrants, that he sets up a network of camps.
Mass deportations. It would likely plunge the United States into something like a recession. His tariffs, likewise, promise to spike prices for most Americans and cause costs that go up dramatically.
That version of Trump could result in abandoning Ukraine to advancing Russian armies, could result in extraordinarily erratic foreign policy in the Middle East.
I mean, Donald Trump often talked about things like bombing Mexico to deal with drug cartels. People stopped him from doing that.
But there's not going to be any adults in the room this time.
The worst version of a Trump administration seeks various forms of retribution against Trump's enemies, real and perceived.
Okay, so that you got a little preview there of what you're going to be reading in the New York Times as we head into the Trump. They're totally open-minded. I'm sure the Times is going to do a 180 to try to reach out to the disaffected middle that's already rejected them. Okay, you get the picture. These people, Rachel and the others, the Bulwark people, are basically the on-air version of what we're seeing online in reacting to the Trump win. There's a couple that take the place, but this woman in number 37 on TikTok, she speaks for a large amount of the very angry left. This type of messaging is all over TikTok and Instagram today. Take a listen.
I took the morning to grieve. That's all the time we have. Now is your time to start making a plan. Women, I'm here to talk to you today. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to delete your period tracking app. I don't care what state you're in. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to follow creators like Jessica Valenti. She talks about abortion in her newsletter, Abortion Every Day. She is a godsend. I don't know how she does it. You're going to get the pill. You're going to get the implant in your arm. You're going to get the IUD. You're going to get your tubes tied. For your safety is to not get pregnant right now. I am not going to get pregnant right now, even though I would love to have a family one day. That dream just went out the window forever, unless I move to another country. If you and your male partner voted differently this election, if he voted for that man, you need to leave him. You need to leave him. I'm sorry. You need to leave him. I know you love him. I know you love him. I know you think he's going to change. I know you think he just doesn't understand your problems. I know that you think he's more concerned about the economy, but especially if you're married to him, you are in danger right now. You are in a lot of danger. Speaking of marriage, I wouldn't get married right now.
I don't think you have to worry.
If you do, get a really, really strong prenup, but I can't promise you that that's going to be honored. Be prepared so that you don't have to panic. I can't really speak on the experience of people of color, of people who are LGBTQ. You guys all need to be making your own plans as well. Everyone needs to be making a plan depending on which category you're in, because they're putting us in categories now.
Oh, they're putting us in categories. The Trump administration, yes, they're all about the categories, unlike the left with their BIPOC and their LGBTQ and okay. That's an insane person. They're everywhere. I don't know what happened. Is that a COVID hangover that the woman has of insanity? As she's had like an SSRI cocktail that went wrong? But this is like, she's not alone. Would you listen to the number of absolutely insane things that were in that woman's diatribe? You've got to get the pill, the insert in your arm, like ASAP. You have to delete your period tracker app because Trump and JD Vance are going to be on there. She's fertile. It's 2 weeks after she was fertile. Somebody get in there and check her womb. Make sure she carries that baby to term. Okay. Don't get married at all. Clearly not a concern for her. And if you are married, you should divorce your husband. Divorce your husband if you voted for Trump. You're not safe, she said. Leave your spouse and get your tubes tied. Actually, never have children, which in her case may be a very good idea. I mean, truly, I'm not like, it's not nice, but I really feel that way. This woman should not reproduce. It's not a concern. Trust in the media is at an all-time low. Can you blame them? Let's be honest. There's very good reason for this. We're all seeing how stories can be shaped or buried or killed or manipulated, depending on who's in charge. And this is why I want to tell you about a platform that does not play by those rules, one that prioritizes transparency above all else. Listen to this. The platform's called Ground News, an app and website that gathers related articles from around the world in one place, highlighting each source's political bias and corporate influence. And they show you stories that are underreported by one side of the political spectrum. A recent Gallup survey showed declining trust in mass media, and guess who didn't cover it? Left-leaning media. On Ground News, more than 80% of the coverage of this story is coming from right-leaning sources. Ground News has an entire blind spot feed with stories like this that are receiving lopsided coverage. And my viewers get 50% off their Vantage plan, which gives you unlimited access to their website and to their app. They are independent. They are supported by subscribers, not corporate interests. Check them out at groundnews.com/Megyn. That's ground, GROUND, news.com/Megyn to take back control of the news you consume. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.